into this crystal talk show? Let me know in the chat. I have reason to believe that we are streaming onto Facebook Live and YouTube. But when I got in to open the studio the way that I usually do, it showed me that the events were being scheduled for another time 10 minutes from now. So I'm really confused as to what that means, and if you are able to chat, let me know in the chat section what is going on. I'm Kyle Russell of Crystal Concentrics, and this is the very first edition of the Crystal Pendants talk show. Oh, Sarah, thank goodness. So you're on Facebook, I imagine. But we're also supposed to be broadcasting live onto YouTube, which would be the very first time we're doing that. So this is the 8th Crystal talk show that I've done. I'm actually not wearing my fancy headphones, which could be why you may not have been hearing me, because I plugged those in before, and then I took them off to fiddle with the controls here. So now you should be able to hear me, and that's good news. Hello, Sue, Marina, all good people to be watching this. So as I was explaining before I got into these silly technical issues, this is the 8th crystal talk show that I'm doing, and it's the first one that I'm doing particularly focused on pendants, and it's also supposed to be the first one that's being broadcast live on both Facebook and YouTube. So I'm super excited about that. Hopefully there's no technical glitches, but the fact that you all are here is very good news. I have lots and lots of things to show you, and the reason I was inspired to switch gears on my talk shows, because my talk shows have been great, and I used to include a meditation, but now I realize that that's such a different mind space for me that I really rather devote the real online meditations to focus exclusively on that piece and not just give you a watered down version during the talk show, even though it was kind of fun and cool and useful and it introduces people to something new and different. The other thing that I wanted to shift was that I have all these pendants, and even though I was talking about maybe a handful of pendants per show, I realized that pendants really are a #1 priority in my product line, and you would never know that based on some of my videos and some of my other talk shows. There have been 7 of them so far. Hello, Colleen. This is cool. Great. I'm glad everyone can hear. So you might know from my YouTube channel that I have a series called What's in My Flat? And this is an interesting flat. I'm going to hold it up a little bit like that for you to see, and then I'm going to take out some pieces to show you. So that flat is stuff that is already on my website. And on the website is not quite all of the pendants, because part of what's going on, 2 things are going on right now that are really huge. Number 1 is I'm writing a book, which I'm hoping to have out by Thanksgiving. And number 2, I'm completely overhauling how we upload product to my website and also to eBay and also to Etsy. So pretty soon you're going to see a lot more of these on those sites and on my Crystal Concentric site, but I wanted to show you a few because the function of this show, by the way, is not just to sell product, although I'll be happy to sell product, but I'm not like posting prices and doing bids and closing sales while we're on the video. That's not what this is all about. What this is all about is me showing you items and then us talking about it more later. You can comment and say, hey, Kyle, I'm really interested in such and such. And you can always email me, Kyle, at the website listed here below me. Now, these items which are on my website, I saw a mention from Sue Boland about amber, and I wanted to show you this exquisite amber here.
It's incredible color. It's Baltic, so that's sort of the original amber that got famous, and it comes from Eastern Europe and Northern Europe. And what's interesting about this one is that it's got a wooden um, bale here. I always confuse bezels and bales. So a bezel is what holds something, and a bale is what you hang it with using your chain. So this is an interesting piece that was made in Italy. And I've had this for a little while. It's called citrine amber because of the color, and gorgeous stuff. And that's what that looks like. And I only have one amber to show you today. And I also promised people that when I was going to talk to you about these pendants, I was also going to talk to you about the energetics behind them. And it so happens that I do have another Baltic amber. This is a cherry amber here, which is very sweet, and came to me in a wrap that I was actually not happy with. So I had my guy take it apart and do his magic on it so that it's much more securely held. Actually, it was in a sterling set, and the amber just fell right out of it. So this was much better solution to that problem. I classify amber as a healing stone, and because of its light density, I consider it sort of drawing out blockage or obstructions or any kinds of bottlenecking of energy. This is a helper to try to lighten that load. And interestingly, I have something here that you almost never see. And if there weren't a delay in the broadcast, I would ask people to identify what this is. Do you see with the light there that it looks like a piece of wood in the sense that it has rings? So this particular wonderful, wonderful pendant is a piece of black coral. And you never really see black coral around. And when I sent it to my wire wrapper, I said, hey, this is the type of shape I'd like. A twist around it, and then big 2 loops, and then you run your chain through it. So this is similar to amber in that energy signature of being very light in density. Now, I want to actually take a second to show you. First of all, I'm wearing a blue jade here, which is very sweet. It is from Burma, and it was sold to me as jade, but I had some of these tested, and they came back as not necessarily jadeite. So it is possible, and it does happen, that you get stones that you think are one thing, but then when you go to the trouble of having it tested, you find out that it's something else. Hello, Nicole. Wow, this is great. The cast of stars here. And what happens is that even if you find that some of these may not be what you thought they are, they still might carry an energy or have a sentimental value for you that makes you want to hold on to it. I wanted to mention just a little bit about chains. This is a type of chain called a, gosh, I think it's called French braided, because it looks a little bit like hair. This is a bit of a thicker gold chain. I only get this in gold, and I get it in the 20-inch size because when I put it on, it puts the pendant right here, and you can see it much more easily. And the reason why the one I'm wearing is so low is that this is a 24. And what I like about 24-inch chains, and I'm going to show you the link style here. What I like about a 24-inch chain is I can throw it right over my head. I don't know if anyone can throw a 20-inch over their head, but everybody can throw a 24-inch over their head. And the reason I like that is then you're not worrying about the clasp and clasping it on and then clasping it off at the end of the day. You just put your pendant down and you throw it on the next day when you want to. The other thing I like about these chains is that you don't have to have it on in order to clasp it. So you just you want to switch out what pendant you're wearing. You grab the other pendant, you open the chain, you slide it on, you close it, and then you throw it over your neck. It's super convenient. So I want to show you something else because I have 3 different flats I want to share with you. And my shows are about half an hour long, and maybe a little bit longer now because I had that little snafu at the beginning. But I'm going to be showing you ones that are supposed to already be on my site that I already have tons of photos of and prices and everything. And then I'm going to show you some other ones, and I'll explain what they are a bit later. Now, this is something quite unusual. This is a Chevron Amethyst, but you'll see that it's multicolored. You've got the sort of grayish color, then you've got the white milky, then you've got a lavender, and then up here you almost have a kind of a blue. And usually I do this show at my office where I'm super flooded with light. Here we've got a little less light, but you can see there's a gradation of all these fantastic colors. And I think there's a lot of value to a multi-tone Chevron amethyst because it's basically like a multi-chakra amethyst. It's appealing to different areas. Actually, I could see a little bit of, well, let's hold it up there. So the smoky is a heart stone, and so is the milky, and then the lavender is healing. And then depending on how blue that looks to you, the blue tends to go for more of a voice or higher energy zone sort of signature. So you're getting a little symphony or a little chord in a piece like this. Now, I know I tend to focus on larger pieces because that's what I like to wear. And I know a lot of people prefer things that are smaller. And one of the things that we've done that's smaller is make a gorgeous piece of rhodochrosite. Let me pull that away. The light is just so bright. It's really hard to see the detail on this. But you can see the color and that it's pretty rich. And the way that we do these spheres is there's just 4 wires that come. And then at the end, they're sort of round around. And then the top is done like this so you can put it on your chain. I love rhodochrosite. Rhodochrosite is, for me, one of the primary root stones, and it has to do with energy, vitality, cellular regeneration. It's a good thing to have. It is a root stone, and so is ruby. So this is a great ruby. I love this one because it has this sort of concentric circle on it, which is slightly lighter. You could see from the way that the light is showing other parts of it as a darker red, and that's almost like a pink there. And I love a sphere pendant, and when I could find pieces like this, because I only ever once from one source found spheres of ruby, and ruby is such a great grounding stone that to have a pendant made out of it makes a lot of sense, because you could just reach up, hold it, and just feel that sort of calming down, that chilling out, that rooting and grounding that is natural to ruby. So what else are we sporting? Oh, this is something I have to show you. So you're probably not going to hear this. I don't know if you're familiar with anhydro agates or quartzes, where you have a bubble of water trapped inside of the stone. And a lot of anhydros are sold that actually do not do that. They don't, when you shake them, you got to feel that little bit of resistance of the bubble and the water shaking back and forth. If you don't feel that, they're calling it an anhydro, but for all practical purposes, if you can't actually feel the water inside of it, then what's the real point of it? Sarah loves her anhydros. So this one's great because it's got black and it's got white and it's got these sort of galactic sort of swirls all over it. This was one I was particularly pleased with when we made it back a couple of years ago, I think. It's a great piece. And another distinctive piece that's on the website is the one I call here the nipple. the Pranite, green Pranite nipple. And look, you see how when you hold it up like that and you see the light coming through it, you see those black crystals that look like a tourmaline running through it. In fact, it's another crystal called epido. And epido lives inside of Pranite all the time. I call this the aloe vera of stones. It's got a very soothing vibe that's very sort of skin and surface oriented. Although they do make aloe vera drinks for you to drink to sort of soothe the inside of your digestive tract. So I think that's kind of interesting that this stone, which looks so much like an aloe vera, has internal use and external use. So if you have any questions or you wanted to make any comments or draw any attention to anything, let me know by commenting in the comments, because this is supposed to be a Q&A where you are free to ask questions. Now, this is a stone that a lot of people are not sure what it is because they don't see it very often. You'll notice it's got a lot of blue. It's got some matrix around it, a little bit like a Boulder Opal. And it also has these little crystallizations, these sort of quartzy, chalcedony-like crystallization on the blue. And the blue is actually chrysocolla. And when it crystallizes like this, with some quartz on the chrysocolla, we call it gem silica. And gem silica is one of those stones that I refer to as sort of like the language of spirits. It's like the language in which the spirits talk to each other. So it's a super elevated stone, and it's got a very elevated vibe to it. So if you're interested in a gem silica, you're definitely into ascension, you're definitely into higher energies. And that's like the only gem silica that I have had that worked as a pendant. I've had some other pieces that I've sold just as specimens. So what else is super outstanding? This is super outstanding. It's not every day that you see a large faceted Ametrine. So you see this, I can show you the other side. It's all faceted. It's got this great big silver bezel, and it's an Ametrine. So you see that it's purple, and then you see that there's a yellow fire in it, because it's got citrine naturally in it. And we're going to talk a little bit more about citrine later. So those are the ones that we're going to talk about from my existing collection. And I'm going to switch gears and start showing you something else, something new and something different. So what follows are a bunch of pendants that I just got back in the mail. Here they are. You can't really see them, but I will be showing them to you. Not to worry about that. So one, and I'm probably not even going to do all of these. I'm going to do enough of them so you can get a sense of what's going on. I discovered some pendants, some carvings. You see this? It looks like two people dancing with each other in an infinity twist. And I had this sterling bale put at the top of it. And these right here are carved out of water buffalo bone in Indonesia, where they happen to be particularly good at carving small and detailed items. And I got 3 of these. I got that one, and then I got this infinity twist, which is kind of great. It looks like it's twisted 3 times. And it's got this great big wonderful bottom part. Very cool stuff. And then the third one is more of a hook. There's the hook. Very beautiful stuff. Looks like it could be ivory as well as anything else. Happens to be bone. good stuff. Now there's another, and the bone stuff is not really a stone, so I can't really speak to or add it necessarily to the energy zones that I work with. But it is cool stuff, and if I had to put it somewhere, I'd probably put it in healing, or even foundation, because it's connected to the body and to root. So that would be my sort of, if I had to force an analysis on bone, that's what I would say about it. Now, a foundation stone that is really, really amazing and is sort of emblematic of the foundation energy zone, because it represents an organism's early life and middle life and later life. The entire life cycle is represented in an ammonite. And this is a gorgeous, big, pearly ammonite. You can see the rainbow colors on it. And when I got this made, I said, do me a favor. I need you to make this like this, so that it's shaped like this, as opposed to how I've usually been getting them, which is like this. You see what I mean? So this one here is on this model. That is to say, this one is oriented this way, and then this other one, which is in pink gold, this one is oriented down so that it comes right sort of in the middle of the shell, and then the bottom of the shell is down there. And in this one, it's like sort of the end of the shell is at the top. So one is very gorgeous and pearly, and the other is also pearly, but more in an Ethiopian opal kind of way. So I'm a huge, huge fan of these ammonites turned into pendants, but I have to be lucky to find them out in the world, because usually they're broken or chipped, or they don't have the lucence that I'm looking for. Now, I don't know if any of you out there are fans of horses, but I got the craziest horse pendant. I had purchased, I'm going to show you, first I'm going to show you this part. You see this? This is a Boulder Opal horse. It's a carving of a horse with opal in the eyes, and then opal running through sort of the face and on the side. And I thought, this is a very cool carving, but how much more interested will people be if we turned it into a pendant? So we got this crazy sort of butterfly frame going, so that when it lies against you, it's straightforward like this. And then when you turn on the side, you can see the horse like that. So it's a very, very, very impressive piece of work as a pendant, and a great way to sort of take your love for horses and put it right around your neck. And so I'm pretty psyched about this particular piece. The opals in general, I tend to attribute to the vision energy zone, in the sense of having to do with creativity and overcoming blockages and tapping into your imagination and the subconscious. However, when it's this particular type, where it's very white and milky, and it's also connected with the stone to make it a Boulder Opal, I think of it as a very tight and strength-oriented energy, akin to what you would find in a Herkimer diamond. So I make a distinction between the super colorful opals and the ones that are more just white and have a much tighter and sort of condensing energy, more yang energy, as it were. So that is a very cool one. This is an interesting one. I'm going to see if the light cooperates with us. Oh, yes, it does. Look at all the lines on that. So this is an incredibly gorgeous stone called Psilomelane. Psilomelane. And it is made up of manganese oxides. It looks like it has hematite in it, but it's not hematite. It's actually manganese. And I got it back like this. And one of the great things about the work that I do with my wire wrapper is that I was able to send it back to him and say, you know what? It looks a little wonky like this, the way that you've done it. I want you to change the orientation and do what you did on that black coral I showed you. So you have two bales here and you run your chain through it just like that, and it sits a little bit different. And for a big horizontal piece like this, I think having a horizontal layout makes a lot of sense. And one of the things that I love about this show is that I'm able to share with you what's great about these stones, and whether you buy them or not, you're learning about the stones, and you're also understanding why it would be that someone might want to get a pendant made out of them. So this stone here, I was sort of studying, and the way that I learn about crystals is I meditate with them, and I really start to work with them essentially in order to sort of unlock the mystery of what it is that they have to teach me. And in this case, I came up with a super fascinating solution, which is that this is all about the different layers of the self and grounding the different layers of the self. And so what I share with people about this is that it's actually a self stone, not a root or foundation stone per se, but what it's doing is it's taking those root and foundation functions and it's bringing them up into the self zone in order to operate from that place. So this is a grounding stone just like a hematite, but specifically for the self energy zone. So that is a very cool piece. I have to show you this. So I'm a big fan of Watermelon Tourmaline. And there is a Watermelon Tourmaline for the ages. Very, very sweet and kind of cut a little like a heart. You'll notice there's that little indentation at the bottom. And even though the stone itself doesn't really have that type of a heart thing going on, I'm going to use my face as a background, like a little light behind it, to show you the incredible pink and green that are at work on this piece. So this is it's hard to find a Watermelon Tourmaline that's not super astronomical in price, and this one was really great. And I'm glad to share it with you, but it's so new. I have the price tag made up, but I have not actually figured out the price on it. So I think the last one I'm going to show you from here is going to be a very cool fluorite. Look at that. That is a sort of yellowish rainbow fluorite with some green at the top. The light is super not cooperating with me. There we go. Now you can see it. And it has this natural fracture. It's not broken. It's not cracked. But there was a natural fracture in the growth of the original crystal. And it's preserved in this cabochon. So unless you drop it, it's not breaking. It's totally flush. It's not glued. It's not fixed. It's just another added visual element. So those are some brand new stones that I have just gotten in the mail this week, and I'm sending out another shipment also this week because I got some custom jobs in to make specifically some Moldavite and some Columbianite. So if you're not familiar with Columbianite, it's like Sintamani stone. I don't have one here, but I have something that's kind of similar a little bit. Those other two, the Columbianite and the Sintamani stone, are basically like an Apache tier obsidian, except they're layered and they're much more weathered, so they look much more ancient and intense. I'm a huge fan of Moldavite, and I wanted to show you something brand new that a friend of mine sent me to check out. This is called Filipinite. So Filipinite is a thank you, Susan. I like the feel of Christmas shopping coming on. So this Filipinite is a tektite, which means just like Moldavite, it was formed from an impact of space elements with earth elements and the creation of a volcanic glass. And what I'm going to do is have this turned into a pendant, probably for me, but if I get tired of it, you can be sure I will be making it available. It is a monster pendant, even compared to my I guess it's kind of comparable, except it's much rounder. And so getting used to big pendants and getting used to big round pendants is something that those of us who wear pendants every day have to get used to. Now, on the subject of Moldavite, I'm going to show you something incredibly special that you will never have seen before. I've never even shown it anywhere online before. Hello, Kathy. Glad to see you here. So this is a heart stopper of a pendant. And I'm going to reach over because I might need my flashlight. So feast your eyes on this. What we have is a 12-karat gold custom setting built around a Moldavite with an opal and a diamond. So this is an incredible combination of energies, from the diamond to the opal to the Moldavite. And what I'm going to try to do is show you what this Moldavite looks like. There we go. By putting a light through it. You see how light and bright that is? And then when I show it, you can see some of the detail of the stone all the way to the top. Very amazing piece. So this is such an extraordinary pendant, and the way that the bale was done was very nice. Instead of just having it through there, there's a pin that runs through it, and then that's what runs through the main piece. So this is a super stunner, which I actually got appraised, and some of my more valuable pieces I send to a gemologist to give me an actual printout of what the various components are. What is the diamond worth? What is the opal worth? What is the gold weight worth? And what is the Moldavite? And then the entire ensemble. What is the recommended retail pricing for an item of this caliber? And I will tell you that it's a lot. It's a solid amount of money. Most of the pendants that I sell for between under $100 up to maybe $300. But when you start looking at a piece like that, you're jumping into the thousands pretty immediately. And I'm going to show you, this is a piece that a good friend and customer of mine has had a lot of interest in. This is another Moldavite, and it's a gorgeous, harmonious shape. I really love it. And I'm going to show you the light treatment for it, because I think in order to really understand it, you need that. You see how that comes through? I'll bring it closer, and then I'll run it through. Gosh, is it unfocused? So, oh, there we go. That's a little bit better. That way you can see some of the detail, and I just move the stone. but you realize that it's not black. It looks like it's black, and then you put the light through it, and then you get the proper green. And what's happening with this particular piece is I am actually going to be sending it out this week to be turned into a pendant, and by the time it comes back, maybe we'll have another show and I can show you what it looks like finished. So you can have a piece like this, which is a gorgeous palm piece, but when you turn it into a pendant, you can use it as a palm piece, but also wear it as a pendant. And that's just a wonderful type of versatility that I really appreciate. I'm going to show you one more Moldavite. Great big monster Moldavite here. This one I've had a while. It's called a drop because it's thinner at one side and then it expands. In fact, the other one was a drop too. All three of these are drops essentially. And this one, if I show you with the light, you can see also it's got a bright, gorgeous green color to it all the way through. So sorry if the light was a little bright in your eye. So that's going to be it as far as the spotlight, backlit thing that I'm going to do. So you don't have to worry about that happening again. I want to take a little time to switch gears and talk to you about citrine, because I have people come into my store and they ask for citrine, and then I show them a real citrine, for example, this, and they're like, I didn't think that's what citrine looked like. And then I go show them what a fake citrine looks like, or a baked amethyst, and they're like, oh, that's not citrine? And I'm like, no, it isn't. And all the stores and all the vendors out there are selling you citrine that's not citrine. I like to pride myself in buying real citrine, and it so happens that when people realize there is a choice, they tend to all choose the real thing, because what they're looking for is the energy that they believe is in the citrine, which for me is the positive self. And just to rewind a little bit, Moldavite I consider to be the messenger. It's bringing you extraterrestrial or messages from on high through the stone, and that's its function. With the citrine, it's more a recognition and acknowledgement of your true and pure self. So I love citrine, and I have actually taken some pieces. I'm going to show you two. This is the baked amethyst. See, it's very pretty color. And then this is a baked amethyst too, but it was such a pretty shape that I knew it would make a great pendant. So I had it turned into a pendant, but it is in fact not a true citrine. And I'm actually about to be sending off some more citrines because I need them wrapped. This is an example of one that I have wrapped right now. It was double terminated. And this is the very creative solution that my wire wrapper came up with and then if you actually hold it on the side, this is how it holds against the body. Then you got the crystal coming out here and then arching, and then you wear it like that. So that is a really spectacular, good-sized citrine pendant. I think there was a typo issue. Susan, you might want to retype whatever it was you were saying about real citrine. This is another one that I have had wrapped. I'll get that price tag out of the way. You see, it's quite exquisite and quite detailed and very clean. I'm realizing that I'm not really showing you anything that's not wrapped by my wire wrapper. So I want to get away from that, because I do have things that are not in that style, that might be a more traditional style. But before I do that, I want to show you something that's also not wrapped and may or may not translate on screen. Okay, you see this? Oh, there you go. This has a crystal within a crystal. You see the point in there? There's a point inside of this gem, and I'm turning it around, And there it is. Oh my gosh, there you see it. Is that not incredible? So an actual crystal within a crystal. And that is what we call manifestation or child within quartz. And this is one that I'm going to have made into a pendant. So I got 4 of those. That's one of them. We'll see if this other one cooperates and lets us see the crystal inside. There's definitely a great big crystal inside. There you go. You see it there? It's this whole thing. There we go. That gives you a good view of it. So that's a crystal inside of a crystal, which is a truly, truly astounding circumstance. I'm going to be wrapping up soon. I'm going to have a little sip of water. Ask me any questions. If there's anything I've missed, you want any explanation. And the cat sounds like it was on the keyboard. I'm going to show you right now a couple of Sugilites because Sugilite is one of my favorites. Look at that great big piece. I got this cabochon and somebody expressed interest in having it wrapped. And sometimes what I do is if a stone is great enough, I'll wrap it, even if they don't prepay me for the stone or the wrapping, because for me, it's money in the bank because a piece like this is worth more wrapped than it is loose. But when they found out that I think I had a price of over $500, I think it was $650 on this piece, they backed away. And I was like, no problem. Someone down the line will recognize and appreciate this piece for being as wonderful as it is. And I also have another incredible brand new Sugilite right there. And this has got a gorgeous little sort of picture on it. Looks like a purple skyscape of another planet, which ranges from purple to pink. And it feels really good to the touch as well. So in these shows, I'm always going to try to show you a little Sugilite and a little one of my other favorites, like a Moldavite or a Jade. I have this one here. I have a whole box full of these. These are Campo del Cielo meteorites, but the way the little ring is on the top, it's facing the wrong direction. So I have to send that to someone to put a proper ring on it so that you can run a chain through it and wear it. That's what these look like. Very, very gorgeous. I find meteorites to be particularly grounding, almost more than hematite, because of the space energy, the sort of arc between space being magnetized towards the Earth through having fallen into our atmosphere and becoming subject to our gravity, and that line going all the way down to the center of the Earth. So that's something I really like about a meteorite. So I think that's probably a good stopping point. I do have more pieces I'd like to show you. I have some drilled citrine that I'm going to get wrapped, but I have to get busy with that because I do sell through my citrines. People who like a good real citrine tend to love getting a pendant of it. So that is in the future, and I think we're going to stop now because we've covered so much good ground that I think it gives you, I don't want to overwhelm you with visuals. Oh, Sarah's saying it's sometimes some people find difficulty wearing a meteorite against their skin, and I don't know if that's an energetic thing or a metal thing. But that sometimes happens. People have reactions to silver and they need some other type of metal in order to be wearing whatever it is they have. So we're just about 45 minutes. So thank you everybody for tuning in. I hope to be doing these a little more often. I've got, we're in September of 2020. These shows last forever because the things that I talk about are going to be useful in the future. We're always going to have other Moldavites and Citrines and Jades and all of that to share with you, so they don't get old. They're not like a talk show about current events where the current events pass and then suddenly it's no longer relevant. So I hope you've enjoyed watching this. If you have any questions, just email me, kyle@crystalconcentrics.com, or visit the website, or comment in the chat, and I will be sure to get back to you. With any luck, this is posting also to YouTube, so thanks to all my subscribers and folks who are catching it there. And we'll see you again very soon. Thanks so much for watching. It's Kyle checking out, and until very soon, thank you so much.